Britain's push for Brexit has cleared another political hurdle. This morning, EU leaders endorsed the framework for a deal in Brussels. The agreement sets the stage for the UK to pull out of the 28-nation bloc next March. Here's a look at some of the key points. Britain regains control of its borders and immigration. The agreement protects the rights of British and EU citizens hit by Brexit. It also keeps the Irish border open. Britain's Prime Minister Theresa May says the deal puts her country on a path to a brighter and more prosperous future. As we hear from the CBC's Dominic Velitis, that's her pitch to the British public.
She has now begun a PR blitz to try and get backing for her Brexit deal here in the UK, because remember, she faces the formidable challenge now of having to get it through the British Parliament. MPs here will have a so-called meaningful vote on the deal, and that is expected to take place next month. Getting it through, though, is going to be difficult because many MPs here, including those within Theresa May's own party, have already said they intend to vote against it. It is now the big issue. Now we've got past the EU hurdle. She held a press conference earlier. Here's what she had to say.
I've just set out in my statement that I think this is a good deal for the whole of the United Kingdom. I believe it delivers on the vote that the British people took. It delivers the end of free movement, end of the jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice, end of sending those vast annual sums to the EU every year.
So the PR offensive, John, as you can see, now well and truly underway. Theresa May also penned a letter to the nation, which has been published in several newspapers over here today, setting out why she thinks the public and MPs should back her Brexit deal. But it also addresses, John, the division, the bitter division that this whole Brexit issue has created here in the UK. And I think we can show you that particular part of her letter now. She says in it, on the 29th of March next year, the United Kingdom will leave the European Union. We will then begin a new chapter in our national life. I want that, she says, to be a moment of renewal and reconciliation for our whole country. And she goes on to say, John, it must mark the point when we put aside the labels of leave and remain for good, and we come together as one people. But as I say, it's not going to be easy to get this deal through Parliament next month. Many MPs here, as I've mentioned, including those within her own party, have already said they intend to vote against it. John.
Well, that's it. Let's gauge some of that reaction. Having been given the green light by the Europeans, she will have to sell it back home, won't she?
Yes, she will indeed, and there has been a lot of reaction today, and as you'd imagine, not all of it is good, and that's just another sign, really, of just how difficult it's going to be getting this deal through the British Parliament next month. One example for you, though, the Welsh Labour MP Stephen Doughty today wrote an open letter of his own to Theresa May, in which he said, "Dear Prime Minister, no thanks, not buying it. Let's have a people's vote instead to let the people of this country have the final say, with the option to stay." So a call there for another referendum. Another MP, Ian Murray, called May's 800-word open letter today an utter piece of fiction, while others within her own party slammed the deal itself, saying it does not deliver on Brexit and is an historic mistake. So plenty of opposition here in the UK today, John.
The CBC's Dominic Velitis in London. For a closer look at what all of this means, I spoke to Anthony Carey. Now, he's the former British High Commissioner to Canada. He also served on the European Commission in Brussels. He's now a fellow at the Canadian Global Affairs Institute. I asked him about the significance of today's developments.
Decision of the European Union was expected. I mean, they've negotiated this deal. They were ready to sign off on it. And so this is not a surprise. Everybody was expecting it to go through this Sunday. But as I heard you saying earlier, the Prime Minister is going to have a phenomenal job to get this through the House of Commons. The deal is opposed by those who want to leave the European Union because they say it leaves us, and they're quite right to say that this leaves us tied to all the rules of the European Union with no say in them. So we get no advantages at all from it. And the Remainers hate it because they say the same thing. So nobody is happy with it. The DUP, who are the Northern Ireland Party unionists, dislike it because for a long time it leaves open the possibility that there will be a border within Ireland, and they're very unhappy with that, or a border between Ireland and the United Kingdom. So everybody is unhappy, and it looks as if it's going to fail in the House of Commons.
Now, that was Anthony Carey, a former British High Commissioner to Canada.